Hi everyone, welcome to Joy Junktique. I'm Rhonda and I am just tickled to death that you're here today. Thank you for all of my subscribers, and if you're new here, I just want to welcome you and tell you how much I appreciate you. Today I'm going to show a fun little project that I did for LosMiMisArmoire, and I used the cover photo here is from the pre-lavender. And then I used a lot of other kits, so I'll have all those linked below, and so that you can find whatever you might be looking for. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me down in the comments. So I'll start with this. This is just a cute little coin purse that I made, and I had printed one of the images on fabric. I just love this pretty image, and I'll show you the paper, another piece of it in the book later. It's just really pretty. And so I had ordered these cute little coin purse toppers from Amazon, and I'll put that link below too. But I wanted to use this pattern here and make a cute little coin purse. So I just thought it turned out super cute, and I just added a few little embellishments, little charms, and some seam binding ribbon here. And I had coffee dyed this little rose trim. It was really bright white, and I just kind of wanted this to be the focal point and not this. So I just kind of coffee dyed that a little bit to subdue it. But if you look close, there's little holes in the top of it to where you can stitch through. And unfortunately, I could not find my needle that would loop in there and kind of hook through these holes, because it's a little bit complicated to sew if you just have a straight needle. So I just went ahead and glued mine in, since I would just be using it for junk journaling. So I just glued the fabric in, but before I glued it in, I actually just took a piece of thread, the embroidery thread, and I actually broke my needle off so it would be shorter, and I just ran it through these holes and looped it so that it would look as though I had sewn it in. And then I just added this little trim just to kind of fill in some of the gap there, so that it would look like it had actually been sewn in. So then I glued my fabric. Whenever I first started making it, I just laid this down, the little topper down on my fabric. And so I just kind of traced around, leaving room to actually sew the fabric together. And that's something else. When I printed this fabric, I printed it on the big adhesive labels, the solid ones that are the 8.5 by 11, and I left the backing on it. I like to do that a lot because it gives you that extra, just a little bit extra strength to it. And so I left the backing in there. I wanted to make sure that the inside had a pretty pattern on it too, and not just that white paper. So I just kind of penciled around it and left me room to sew these edges. And then these I just kind of glued together really good before I glued them in here. And that way it would all stay together really nicely. And I went back a couple times and added extra glue just to kind of hold it. And had put that little trim in there to kind of fill that little gap. So it turned out super cute, I think. And I love that the inside has the rest of that pattern. So that's just something different that I've been wanting to try. I've had these ordered and sitting in my stash for a while, but I loved this pattern, and I could just see it as a cute little coin purse. So that's what I did for here. And what you saw me take out, I just coffee dyed this little paper bag. I sealed it with that paper stamp seal that I had gotten a little while back. And so you can see the reverse of it on the back side there. But inside the little baggie, I just put a teeny tiny little mini journal with some of the images from one of the kits and a little piece of lace. There's the back of it. And just some tiny little coffee dyed papers. Super cute. I love it. So I had watched a video from Sarah Lee Armstrong, and I'll link her video below, But she had shown how to use the old negatives that we have from all those old photos years ago and create really cute little ephemera for your junk journal. So I just took some of the little images. Some of them I had to shrink down a little bit more, but I just did how she had said in her video, where you gesso it and paint it and then just add your little photos and whatever lace or embellishments you want. So this one I left really simple and just added a little rusty jingle bell here and some lace. So that slips down in there too. And then I have a die cut, this one. And so these are actually the real negatives that I painted. But I also made some with my little die cut that I had. And so these were the offcuts of this, the little leftover pieces. So I just took some of my little Paris stamps, the Cavalini stamps I think they're called. But I just stamped a bunch of those different pieces on these little squares and inked around the edges. Punched a tiny little hole and ran them through a little ball pen. So this is more ephemera that can be used, or just left like this. I really like this one. It's a lady postage stamp. So anyway, those are all inside of the little baggie here. That goes inside of here. And I just think it would be really cute to, you could use this for whatever. If you did use it like for coins, I would just not let it get too heavy because it could definitely pull away from there with it just being glued. But there is my little coin pouch, and I just think it's precious. And this is in the design where it already has like the little stains, and I just love it. So there's that. And then here is a little journal that I created. And I knew when I saw this image that I wanted it to be on the front of my journal. I saw where Sylvia from LosMiMisArmoire had created a journal with this on the front too. And so I told her ours were going to be really similar on the front because I already had this part made. But I just took and stitched around the edges with some fancy little stitching on my sewing machine. And then on the back side I used another image. And I thought it turned out really sweet. So here is another one of those negatives I had made. And I just backed it with some ruffled lace. And then I just took little pieces that I had left from different parts of the kit and just kind of layered it underneath there. And then I scratched some of the paint off there to reveal the little numbers that were on the negative. And then more of those tiny little photos that come in one of the kits. And a little seam binding ribbon there. And this is just some little clay molds that we had done, me and my grandbabies. And I had put them in my little candy molds. And when my grandbabies came, they wanted to paint them. So they helped out with that. But I just glued that on there. And I just think it turned out so pretty. That was such a good idea that Sarah had. So, and then this little clamp holds it onto that pocket there because this is a pocket. So that clamp just has some little glittery netting there that I had cut off of an old dress. So in this pocket, I just took one of the envelopes from one of her kits. So I printed another image on the back and folded it up, distressed it, glued it together. And then inside of it, I have these cute little tags with these little kids. Some of them are the same images that I used on the negatives. And then I just added more of that glitter netting to the tops of those, just stapled on there. So those will just go in this envelope and keep them nice and safe. And that just slips back in here. And I'll show you, I did use one of the bigger eyelets there so that it would not tear this little doily as easy. So I'll show you that too. But this just clips right back on the front. And it can be moved anywhere in the journal that you would like. And then on the back, in this little pocket, so here I just printed one of the little receipt pages that she had in one of the kits. And I left the back plain, but I did spritz it with some coffee. So there we have a little journaling spot. Okay, so because this is really kind of flimsy fabric here, it's not got cardboard or anything on it, I chose to use those eyelets and run my ribbon from here, because if I wrapped it around the whole thing, then it just kind of smushed this even more. So I just used some little rag strip ribbon here. And so as you open it, you can't really see much of that doily anymore, little table doily. And so I used that, but I sewed on the back some vellum that I had printed with one of the pages, and went around it with that stitching as well whenever I sewed this. So it just adds a little bit of that crinkly element and just kind of stiffens this a little better. And then I took some of my cheesecloth that had come from Oldestina's packages she sent us, and I made a little wrinkly pocket here. And so here's that page that I told you that is the same as this. Now this was printed on white fabric, so it's a little brighter, and this was printed on coffee dyed paper, so you can kind of see the difference there, but they're both beautiful. So here's the little coffee ring and just all the little distressed elements about it. So as you turn, I have a little pocket here, a little corner pocket that comes in one of her kits, and then I have a sweet little photo, and I used one of my coffee dyed pages on my copier and just printed that on the back of them. Here's another piece of coffee dyed paper, and I made a little tuck spot down here with this little postcard. And then on the back, I added a little piece of my sample die cut, looks like chicken wire, and I added a little piece left from one of the pages in the kit. So that slips back in there. And then here's a piece of my French book page. This is another page from one of the kits. Here I had an old layaway tag. I just decided to try to make a little envelope with it. So what I did is I folded it up and added a little brad, and then I used the little loophole at the top and the string that was already on it, and I just ran a little button through there. And then to cover that part up, I just put one of those sweet little roses that comes off with some of my ribbon. And so this opens up, this opens down, and I reinforced those folds with some washi tape. It's little music notes. And then I glued this sweet, sweet little baby's photo right there. And down here, I put another leftover piece from the kit. And then, actually all of these are little leftover pieces. So I just put this tiny little piece of a postcard that was left with the flowers, just to add a little bit of color here and there. There's not much color in here, it's basically neutral. But then that just wraps back around and hangs down like that. So I left a few pages plain that can be added to or just journaled in. Here's just a little paper ruffle I made with a piece of notebook paper that was left. Here's one of those emboss and die folders from Tim Holtz that I love, and just put another little postcard there. This is a pretty page too. I don't know if you can see it. And then here, I just when I went to rip my page, it kind of ripped crooked, but I kind of liked it, so I just left it. And then here is just a little rusty paper clip, glassine envelope, and inside of it, I have these sweet little photos. So this is just some photos, and they kind of graduated in size. So I just put some lace between them and just had them kind of accordion fold. So you can journal on those too. Just like that. And then this just wraps back around it. So there we have that. Just ties right back around it and slips back into here. And so this also goes underneath that paper clip, but it's just a little tag, and it had the tiny little pictures on it, and some of them were, the faces were small enough for me to make a little frame. I saw Rhonda from A Little Bit French do this, and I just loved it. So when I found this that I could cut apart, I knew that that would be perfect for these little photos. So just kind of collaged and left it to where you could do a little journaling on the back. Now this is an envelope, and I stencil on it a little bit with my ink, and then I also ran it through my embossing folder, and it just has a really pretty design on it. And then where I had to move the fold because I needed it to be more centered in my book, so I just folded it farther down the envelope, but there was still a fold here, so I just added a piece of my seam binding ribbon there. And then on this side, so these little tuck pieces from the envelope are still here, which is perfect because that way you can make something to slide into there. So that's what I did. These little hearts were in one of the kits, and I just stitched them down to this little background piece. Added some lace to the back to cover my stitching, and that just slips right in there like that. And here's some washi tape just to kind of cover where that sticky the sticky part was on that envelope. Here's a piece of vellum that I printed, and I love that you can see that through there. It's so pretty. Coffee dyed paper, just very lightly. I love this page. This is the same pattern as what was on that envelope. It's got the little bird and the teacup. And here's a piece that I had coffee dyed, and then printed the coffee dyed paper with one of her images. And so this is half of it, and the other half is on the other side. But I glued down one of the little photos. And so that just folds back up. And then here is just some notebook paper, and I folded it up and made a couple little tuck spots. Here I stapled this little photo and a little scrap piece of fabric there that I had printed, and then another little piece of vellum. And then in the middle where I tied it, I have a couple little charms hanging. I have a little tiny key, and then some pearls and a little crystal bead there. And then on this side, I have a piece of a postcard, and I added a little bit of just the tiniest hint of green lace just to kind of bring some of the colors together here. Here's the other side of that other page that opens up. And here I glued another little photo. This was a like a paper bag, and so I made another one of those little tags. and it tucks where I folded it over. What it was is this vellum wasn't quite wide enough, so I glued the paper bag in there to extend that page, and so I needed to fold this in, which created another little tuck, which was not a bad thing. And I think I can do it, yeah, I can leave the flower out and let it peek out from there. And so then when you turn the page, inside of this pocket, I just put together a piece of paper. I folded it together so you could see the design on both sides, stitched around it, and added this cute little photo and some lace and a little tab at the top. Very simple. And this bag I had spritzed with coffee and then set my coffee cup on top so you get that cute little ring. And then here is the other side of the envelope. And so what I did here is I cut the side off the envelope and then I notched both sides. So it's actually like a little belly band. And then I added a little scrap piece here so that I could have a pocket here. And here's another little tag, a double-sided tag, and it's actually got a little hidden pocket inside. So that goes back in that little tiny pocket there. Just barely peeps out the side there. And that slips in here. And then in the belly band, I have made another little scrappy notepad with some of the leftover pieces. So here I just put a photo on the front so that I could tuck here and have another little belly band on the notebook. So inside there I have another little postcard tag and this tag. So then those will go right back in this belly band. And here I have a hidden paper clip that has this sweet little photo on this side. And you can see the negative there poking up from the top. So here's the other side. I just added some little remnant pieces of lace and fabric and a tiny little torn piece here. Those sweet, sweet little photos. And then I stamped it with one of Sample's little number stamps. So I just loved those so much. They were so fun to make. And then here is the other side of one of those pages with the little torn edge there. And here I have another little corner pocket with this sweet little photo. There's the other side of that page. And this paper that you saw back here, right here, it was really discolored all on its own. It was in a package that I had received and just some of that packing paper, and I just loved it, so that's why that's in here. It has that perfect little aging on it. Coffee dyed paper, and here's the other side. And I added another little photo here. And the other side of that French book page. Here's another little photo. And on this page, I just did another little photo there so that I could have a little up tuck here. And I have this again. And this is the one that I created with my die cut. So I'm not sure who this is made by. A lot of my stamps and dies I've had for so many years, so it's hard to find them now. But if I can find it, I will definitely link this or something similar down there. So look how sweet that is. I just left this one plain, but I love it. And so when I die cut this, cuts out these little squares. So I had to, this is one photo that was longer and this is another photo that was longer. So I glued these two behind here and then I turned around and backed it with another piece that goes down the middle of this. So just to kind of hide all that. But it looks so cute. So that tucks up in there. And there's the back side of that first page that looks like this. Actually this. And then here's another one of those little gauzy pockets here with another little postcard that I just embellished a little bit. And then on the back side I just did another little corner tuck here with this little tag. So I thought it turned out super sweet, and I had a lot of fun making it. So this will just tie right back here. Just a little scruffy little bow. And there that is. I just thought it turned out so sweet in the back. So I hope you enjoyed that, because it was lots of fun to make. And I'm sure I'll be making some more of these later on down the road, because they were fun to make. Had a little bit of kinks at first to figure out when I couldn't find my needle, but it all worked out, and I think it turned out really cute. So I appreciate y'all being here so much, and I just hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you back here soon. God bless.